Hello guys, I'm Unstable Voltage and welcome to my Europa Universalis 4 Mare Nostrum tutorial. In this video I'm going to be covering trade leagues. If you're completely new to EU4, I do highly recommend that you go and check out my Common Sense tutorial series. Those are slightly longer videos, but they will teach you the fundamental basic mechanics of the game and get you playing up to a competent level. If you'd like to check those out, the link to the playlist is in the description below this video, and you should also be able to click on the card that should be in the top right hand corner of the screen now. So trade leagues are something that were added in 1.16 in Mare Nostrum. It is part of the paid DLC, so you will actually need the expansion to have trade leagues. And what trade leagues essentially are is a collaboration between at least one merchant republic and at least one province minor. That could also be a merchant republic. And the idea behind a trade league is it's to make the merchant republics and the one province minors stronger without them having to expand. So you can build them tall. That's the idea behind it. Now I'm starting this game here as Lübeck because Lübeck actually starts as the leader of a trade league. Now Lübeck of course are a merchant republic. And if I right click we can see that. So we are a republic, we're a merchant republic. So in order to be a trade league has to be led by a merchant republic. A merchant republic can start a trade league as well. If they're not already part of one, they can form their own trade league. Now, the leader of a trade league can have as many provinces as they want. That is irrelevant. But members of the trade league have to be one province minors. So if we actually go and look at Lübeck, we can see that we are part of a trade league, and in that trade league are Riga, Oldenburg, Magdeburg, Lauenburg, Bremen and Hamburg. Now all of those are one province minors and they are not all merchant republics. I mean we've got not Lauenburg, but we've got Hamburg is a free city, Bremen is a free city, Oldenburg is just a duchy. Can't even remember who else we got in there now. We've got Riga and who else did we have in there? Bremen, Hamburg. I think one of them also is a archbishopric as well. So there's quite a variation of different one province minors in there. And what we could do, there would be an option in alliance options to invite someone to the trade league. Now obviously you do need to have them willing to accept, which is based on a number of things. So, including attitude, so the more they like you, the more likely they are to join the trade league. So, what are trade leagues and how do they work? Well, first of all, as I said, you do have to be a merchant republic to be the leader of a trade league. If the leader stops becoming a merchant republic, then what will happen is if there's another merchant republic in the trade league, they will take over. If there are multiple merchant republics, it'll basically pick one of them. I think it's based on the amount of prestige that they have currently. So if the current leader ceases to be a merchant republic, it'll go to somebody else. If the current leader gets annexed, it will go to somebody else. And if the current leader drops below minus 50 prestige, then the trade league leadership will go to somebody else. Now, if there isn't another merchant republic in the trade league, then the trade league will automatically get disbanded. So obviously if you're playing as a merchant republic and you're in charge of a trade league, the chances are that you're not going to get annexed because that'll be game over if you do. The chances are you're probably going to want to stay as a merchant republic. So the only thing you have to worry about is dipping below negative 50 prestige. As long as you stop that from happening, you shouldn't actually lose your control over the trade league itself. Now there's quite a lot of things that you actually get as part of a trade league, both as the leader and as members, although it does benefit the leader a lot more than it benefits the members. So I've actually got a list in front of me because I had to go through all of the changes and additions just so that I could sort of keep track of everything. So first of all, if you are in a trade league, whether you are the leader or whether you are a member, it doesn't actually cost you any relation. So as you can see, this trade league, I'm the leader and I've got 6 people in this trade league. Now, those don't cost 6 relationship slots. However, being part of a trade league, you actually lose 1 relationship slot. So as you can see here at the bottom, it says my base value is 4, because most nations get 4 relationship slots as a base. but then in a trade league, -1. And that's the same for the trade league leader as well as all of the members. They get -1 relations slot, but it doesn't cost them any relationships to be part of the trade league itself. Anyone that is in the trade league should get a slight relationship boost with each other. So as you can see, with Hamburg there, we have a in the same trade league plus 20 relationship bonus. So they will all have a bonus between each other just for being in the same trade league. And the main purpose, or one of the main purposes of being in a trade league, is a defensive pact. So if somebody declares war on any member of the trade league, then all of the other members join the war. So you've got to remember now with these one province miners, you wouldn't just be picking on a one province miner, you would be picking on maybe 10 one province miners and the trade league leader as well. And the trade league leader could be bigger. They could have 20 provinces. They could be quite a big nation. So it really does protect these one province miners. The downside is, though, it's not an alliance. You cannot call members of the trade league into an offensive war. It is purely just a defensive pact. But at the end of the day, they're not costing relationship slots, so it does kind of balance out. It does protect the one province miners from being attacked a little bit, but it doesn't really mean that they're going to form a massive sort of coalition that you can use to attack your enemies. Now, another great thing that you get, and this is something that benefits the trade league leader, is if you embargo somebody, everybody in the trade league can also embargo them and will automatically embargo them without a penalty. So as Lübeck, for example, if I were to go and rival Brandenburg, for example, Brandenburg are my rival. If I were to then go and embargo Brandenburg, then all of the members of the trade league are now embargoing Brandenburg. And even if they're not rival to Brandenburg, it doesn't matter. They don't get a penalty for doing it. So because they're part of the trade league, they all embargo anybody that I embargo as well. Now, another thing that happens is the trade league leader automatically gets a trade dispute casus belli against any nation that they could fabricate one against using the spy network. So if we go to somebody like Holstein, for example, and we look at our covert actions, obviously we don't have a spy network there at the moment. But actually they're our overlord. If we went to, let's pick somebody, Pomerania, for example. So we could build a spy network with Pomerania, and then we would be able to justify a trade conflict. Anybody that you could do this action with via this system, via the spy system, you will actually get one automatically, which means you don't have to bother building up the spy network and clicking this button. So providing you meet all the other requirements as far as the trade power share goes, that you get that CB automatically. Unfortunately, it's not that much of a useful CB because it doesn't allow you to take land, release nations, vassalize and things like that. So it's not the greatest CB, but it can be an excuse to get to war with somebody if you need to. So what is the point of the trade league besides the defensive pact? Well, as I said, it mostly benefits the leader. The members do get some benefits, but it's much, much better for the leader than anybody else. So the first thing is, the leader of the trade league gets 50% of all of the members' trade power. So that's absolutely fantastic. I mean, there isn't really a limit. There's no sort of hard limit to the number of members that you can have in a trade league, although the bigger the trade league gets, the less likely other members are to join. But every single time you add another member to the trade league, you get 50% of their trade power, which is really, really good. I mean, if we just have a look at the start of the game here, we can see that already Lübeck is making almost 80% of their income from trade. 7.1 ducats per month just from trade, which is actually fantastic. And they're not making a lot of money in total, but that is a good, decent amount of income there. So you get 50% of the trade power from all of the members. And you also get a bonus to your trade steering based on the number of members you have as well. So the more members that you get, the more trade steering you will have. We should be able to see that in trade steering here. Trade league, scaled by number of members. So we've got 6 members and we get 17.5% to our trade steering. I'm not exactly sure what it is per member, and I'm not sure if it has diminishing returns at this point, but basically the more members you have in the trade league, the more trade steering you get. So very, very powerful bonuses to the leader there. And as I said, as the league gets bigger, other members or other nations are less likely to want to join. I think the soft cap is around about 20. If you've got about 20 members in the trade league, it's going to be almost impossible to get other people to want to join. Now, members do get some benefits as well. First of all, members get their an extra 50% double actually. Members get double goods produced in the same trade node as the leader. So obviously, if we look at the trade map mode, we are in the Lubeck node, and any of the members of our trade league that are in the Lubeck node will get their goods produced doubled. So they do get a benefit. Members also get extra 20% trade power bonus on all of their trade ships as well. Now obviously that's only going to be useful to members who are coastal, but if they have ships protecting trade, they're going to get an extra 20% trade power on those ships. So there is definitely a bonus to being a member. Yes, you are giving up 50% of your trade power, but at the same time, you're gaining double goods produced, you're gaining extra trade power on your light ships, and you're also gaining the benefit of a defensive pact, and I think that's the most important thing for those one province miners. Now, you cannot force somebody to join a trade league in a war. So if you look at peace deals, there's no option to force somebody to join the trade league. But what you can do is you can force somebody to give you their trade power. Now, this has always been something that you were able to do in a peace deal. You could always try and enforce trade power transfer. The problem is transferring trade power always took up a relationship slot, which was absolutely awful. So what would essentially happen is, yeah, you could take war reparations, and that's fine. War reparations didn't take up a relationship slot, but you'd take transfer trade power, and that would give you a relationship slot. And you've already lost one by being part of a trade league. Now, what they've done in patch 1.16 is they've actually removed the relationship cost slot for the transfer of trade power. And that's irrelevant whether you're in a trade league or not. This is just as a base change to everybody in the game. So you can now transfer trade power without it costing a relationship slot, which is actually fantastic, because what that now means is in a war, in a peace deal, you can force someone to transfer their trade to you and it's not going to eat up one of your relationship slots. And you also get some extra prestige from that as well. It's only a couple of prestige, but a lot of people used to go to war, and then in a peace deal they would take the transfer of trade power just to get the extra prestige, and then a month later cancel it to free up the relationship slot. But it is nice that you can now do that without it using up one of your slots. Now, one other change, I mean, that is basically the trade leagues in a nutshell. So it's a defensive pact between all. It has to be led by a merchant republic. All of the members have to be one province miners. If they gain a second province, then they get kicked out of the trade league. If the leader gets annexed or ceases to be a merchant republic or drops below negative 50 negative 50 prestige, then the leadership will transfer to another merchant republic, and if there isn't another merchant republic, the trade league gets disbanded. There's no cooldown, so somebody could recreate another one and re-invite all of those members. It's a defensive pact between everyone that is in the trade league, and the leader gets the most bonus, which is the additional trade steering based on the number of members, and 50% of all of the members' trade power. And the members get double goods produced in the same, if they're in the same trade node as the leader, and they also get the bonus to the trade power on their ships. So it does benefit everybody, but that is trade leagues in a nutshell. One more thing that I should mention that isn't really related to the trade leagues, but it is related to merchant republics, and this is a very important change. Previously, as a merchant republic, you could grow to pretty much any size you wanted to. In my previous campaign before Mare Nostrum, I was playing as Venice and actually took over the entire coast of the Mediterranean, and I think I had the most provinces in the world out of any other player, out of any other nation. And that was fine. You could do that. You could become a massive empire that was a merchant republic. What they've done now in version 1.16 is, over a certain size, you will actually start to lose Republican tradition. Now, originally, in the patch notes, they said it was going to be 20 provinces. If you went above 20 provinces, you would start losing yearly Republican tradition. Now, I think they've changed that now. I think they've changed it from the number of provinces, something to do with the number of states or territories. I'm not 100% sure what they've changed that mechanic to, but it still applies. As you grow larger, you are going to start losing Republican tradition, and it'll get to a point where you're losing so much Republican tradition, you're going to be forced to switch to a monarchy or another type of government. So it's going to make it very, very difficult playing as a merchant republic and growing into a massive empire, which is another reason that trade leagues are so important, because you're probably, as a merchant republic, wanting to grow tall as opposed to wanting to grow wide. So that should hopefully give you all the details you need about merchant republics to understand what they are and how to get them to work. And in the next video, I'll be going through and covering just all of the little points and the minor little changes that I haven't covered over the previous. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll see you next time, and until then, goodbye for now.